Hey, random stranger. So it took us 2 years to get through Hibike Euphonium. We finally did it, and now we're at Liz and the Bluebird, which I'm super excited to watch because I've heard so much about it without any spoilers. You guys have been great with not giving any spoilers. I think all I know about it is that it is predominantly centered on Nozomi and Mizore, which is a couple in the band that I was super fascinated with in Hibike when we had those couple of episodes focusing on just those two. I remember having mixed feelings, I guess, about the nature of their relationship. I could go either way. One way is just being a little bit hesitant about how healthy it is to be playing an instrument and dedicating your passion for the instrument and attributing it to one person. As someone who played instruments for a long time and just went through the hard slog of that whole process, to say the words, I'm playing my whatever instrument you play because of you or for you, it's just such an intense, slightly odd thing to say. And it kind of makes you go, oh, wait, but shouldn't you be playing an instrument for yourself? You know, ultimately playing music for someone else or because of someone else doesn't really sound that sustainable in the long run. But I could also equally see how it would work the other way. Like it's a romantic, artsy, literary way of signaling how important this person was to you discovering your passion for music and your passion for playing music, and that you experienced this discovery in such an intense way. And it has such deep roots in how you see and experience life, and that person just happened to be there on that journey with you. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see how they elaborate on this relationship in this movie. And I don't know, like, which period of time they focus on, whether they start right at the beginning of the relationship and sort of take us through how they got so close and then the breakup, quote unquote breakup, that happened later on. So I guess we'll see. All right, so if you guys have your own copy to follow along with, let's do this in 3, 2, 1, play. I can't wait for all the beautiful music we will undoubtedly listen to. I'm assuming that is the oboe. What is this? Like a ginger Snow White? Okay, I'm assuming that's gonna be a visual motif representing Mizore, the bluebird. It's like just out of grasp. That was interesting, starting with that sort of storybook palette. It's a really interesting background track. It's like the plucking or the hitting of different instruments, just like one note at a time. Very scattered. She's psyching herself up just to go to class. Just walked right past like she was invisible. I mean, the sound design is amazing already. She's so perky, her ponytail just switches like that. Pretty sure normal ponytails don't do that. Okay, they know each other already, right? Because it would be weird if Mizore just started following her. That motion was so interesting, where she grabbed her hair. It's very rapid. I don't know, is it the xylophone? Sorry, percussion people. Let me know if you know. I love how it's just tickling your ears this whole time. Lends it a great sense of quirkiness. Alright, gotta watch out for these bluebirds. How they even like get the touch of the on the locker, like that little metallic sound. Perfect. How do they do this? Three. Man, Mizore looks. They've somehow made her eyes kind of dull, but they also have the sparkle in them whenever she sees something or someone that she's latched onto. I wonder how long into the movie until we actually hear Mizore say a single word. Okay, primary school? That was so unnecessary, but just so in character. That extra swirl, spin, disjoint. Man, they really took their time setting everything up. Oh, such great articulation. Okay, so this is before nationals. So close. Mizore is just shocked. Oh, so Liz is sort of the parallel to Mizore. Ah, I love how the jumps match the piano notes. That's so visually satisfying. Whoa, 0 to 100. Okay. Oh, so I got it the wrong way round. Wait. I love. Okay, so Mizore was imagining something different. I mean, she was clearly putting the two of them into the story. Like, ooh, that's ooh Mizore. She's not great. Yeah. Oh, she's flat. wait, wait, is it Nozomi that's flat? Oh, it was Nozomi. Sorry. Okay, loaded questions. Is she really asking, do you like practicing with me? Because for her, I guess she loves practicing because she gets to hang out with Nozomi. And there we have it. There's Yuko. Short hair Yuko. Oh, Oh, this is after he became. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It's cooking now. Oh, everyone's hair is different. I guess I should have told from the color of their ties. I don't know. Hey, we get to see more of the other characters. Nice. Because then that's it. Like they're in third year, and then that'll be the final day that they get to play together. Or that she'll have any excuse to play with her, really. Okay, so we're getting a story within a story. I do love that we're getting just a totally different setting and vibe, but they're clearly connected via the characters. Ugh, that's a proper oven. Liz seems more sociable than Mizore, though. I guess they're not exactly alike in all aspects. Just like the loneliness and maybe connection with other people. And the watercolory like visuals, it's really interesting. Where are this girl's parents? She looks like she's like 13 or something. What instrument is that? Why are you doing that, Tucky? That's a weird hand position. Ah, President Yuka. Oh, it's okay. It's great to see they're doing votes still. Okay, they've really stepped up the goals then. Last time it was just to get to nationals. Now they actually want to win gold. Oh God! Wow, just official fan club. That's crazy. Flutes are often used to like depict birds in classical pieces, so that's not wrong. Oboes are a little bit more, reserved. The clickiness that happens within sections or between sections in an orchestra or a band. That's so true to life. Oh, this girl. Keep trying. Keep trying. She would follow Nozomi home if she could. She keeps asking if Nozomi likes the story. Oh, I mean, she totally could have her own little fan club too. Wait, was she just about to say Yorozuku? Wasn't that Mizore's name? Kenzaki. Nozomi's like, but it was so easy for me. I didn't have to do anything. Hmm. Okay, I feel like we've established already, even in the main series, that Mizore is neurodivergent. Does and sometimes your behavior doesn't fit what people normally expect, and it can cause all these like misunderstandings if they're not aware. I also feel like this girl's a bit weird as well. Just to hand someone an egg. Uh, I like her though. She wants to reach out, just doesn't really know how to. Okay, is that foreshadowing how one day she's gonna fly away? I mean, turn back into a bird and fly away, I guess. I'm already dreading the moment when they have to say goodbye. Yeah, berries in here are a good idea. It's like you can just reach in for a snack whenever you want. Is that flute and oboe again? Oh, oh, this is beautifully soundtracked. Don't go. Okay, I guess Nozomi doesn't find it weird that Mizore is always like a few steps behind her. Wow. Kumiko! Okay. Oh no. I feel like these gestures, they don't mean that much to Nozomi, but to Mizore it's like the world. Oh, that's hard when your interpretations of certain gestures aren't matching. One person takes it really seriously and the other person doesn't really cross their mind as much. Oh, Natsuki, please save our girl. Natsuki knows. Okay, wow, but this is a serious situation. I mean, she's not even she's stuck. Like all she's thinking about is wanting to be with Nozomi. She doesn't really want to move on from school. Why is Natsuki the best in everything? Just flying away. I'm so sad for Mizore. It's like her world is so rich on the inside, also very like contained and like narrowly focused, whereas Nozomi's world is just open. Like she's friends with everyone, everyone loves her. Doesn't really have the same intense focus on a singular person. It's just so different. I feel like the person who gets hurt in that situation is the one who is focused on that one person. Like that. See? Her attention just gets diverted and she's like, okay, next person. Whereas Mizore only has Nozomi. How's that hair stroke again? I guess even though she's this is after Hibike, like the main series. She's made more friends, but she's not really gotten close to anyone else. There's I love you hug. So interesting. It's you see her off screen and then the bird fly away, and it's like, wait, was that just her going away? She's like, you don't migrate? Hey, it's Niyama. She's like, who's that? Hmm. Okay, she's still dealing with that whole situation. Is she gonna tell her to try out for the orchestra? Like, do it professionally? Who was playing that? Uh, I love how they've like continued on with that thing that they do where they make sure the instruments sound like they're being played by students and not professionals sometimes. Yes, music school. And she's like, only if you go with me. Hmm. I know. Something didn't feel right about that interaction, that exchange. Ooh. The girl plays piano as well? Yuka. She's like, or I will send the thugs in. You better get me that money. Oh. We'll always be married, connected at the hip. But it wasn't a total coincidence for Nozomi Mizore. I feel like Nozomi's kind of like, I wonder if I hadn't said that I would go, whether Mizore would have even made the move. Yeah, that's the dynamic that gave me sort of the sense that something's not quite right in Hibike. Yeah, see, it's like, it's sort of like Nozomi has her eggs in different baskets, whereas Mizore is like all in or nothing. And if, things don't happen that way, like if she doesn't end up with Nozomi or Nozomi doesn't end up applying or whatever, Mizore is the one who gets crushed. And that's, uh, what's Yuko thinking? Is she gonna invite like her whole bunch of flutes as well? Kansaki's like, I gotta create this vibe for the oboes. She's like, I want a tribe as well. It's good. Mizora needs more people. She needs a wider circle. Come on, go with your peoples. Hmm. It's man, she lacks a sense of self value. I guess like she's like, why would anyone want to hang out with me? And the fact that Nozomi does is like a miracle to her. The library grouch. Ooh, you make your own reads. That's pro. Kenzaki is turning out to be the hero of this movie. She kind of gives me the same vibes as the bluebird in the story. Oh, Mizore. These two just in their own happy world. Hazuki looks a little different, like a little bit more mature. Don't know how they did that. With everyone else. Oh, Kenzaki. Oh, Mizore. You made this girl happy. Even though, okay, she may not have the words to comfort someone in the moment, but she's thinking about them. She's got her own way of expressing care. Natsuki knows. The little smile Natsuki had. She's like, oh, thank God that I found someone else other than Azami. Nice. Taki's gonna say something. I love how Raina's, Raina's like analyzing it and being like, something wrong with this? Ugh. A little bit too emotional. Mmm. Yep. I love that Taki pointed that out. Oh my god. And just what a great way to use how the complementarity of two instruments and the back and forth you have in pieces like that to kind of like signpost how their relationship is going as well. It's not quite a full like collaboration, you know? It's a little bit uneven, or they're not really meeting in the middle. Come on, Yuka. I love that Yuka and Natsuki are also looking out for Mizore. Like, she's got people. No. No. I also love that you could sort of see Reina like try like being like mm. Oh, it's Reina, so it's gonna cut. Yep. Because like that's far even for me. Oh my god. Yeah. So you know how previously it was like Nozomi was way out of tune, like way off pitch when they were just rehearsing? She doesn't sound off pitch like in those later sections, but there is still something that's not quite right with the balance between the two instruments. Oh shit, I don't even know how they would have told the players playing the music. How would they tell someone, okay, play this duet, but make the notes of the oboe sound trapped? That's, I don't even know how you do that. That's amazing. You can ask her yourself. I guess it's not so much a grudge as, you know, past trauma. And she doesn't, like she said, she doesn't know if it's going to happen again. And she can't handle it. That's got me. It's just like, I could just drop in whenever I want, right? Best of both worlds, but alas, life does not work that way. Hey, Tashimoto. I bet he's gonna come out with like a bomb when Mizore and Nozomi play their solos. Oh, is Niyama just gonna tell her the straight out truth? It's like, is she good enough? Not that you'd ever discourage a student from trying, I guess, but I guess it's just sort of set expectations. It just also seems like Nozomi knows the level that she's at. Okay, just interspersed with these like little dating stories that alludes to the Nozomi and Mizore relationship. Oh my god. There you go again. There's like Nozomi looking away and then Mizore just being like, oh god, she's not with me anymore. This music is so foreboding. Ooh, that was actual rejection. Even for a normal person, that would have been like, oof. Is Nozomi pulling away because she felt Mizore pulling away? It's sort of like this vicious cycle. I mean, not that Mizore was pulling away. Not intentionally, anyway. She's kind of protecting herself, even as she wants to be close. Ah, these two. Reino and Kumiko's like, well, we're in total sync, so we'll show them what it should be like. It's so weird that we haven't heard Kumiko's voice yet. Ah, perfect finish. I can't believe that they did that. Knowing full well that everyone would hear them, including Nozomi and Mizore. They're helping in their own way, I guess. They're so confident in both themselves and also like in their relationship with each other. It's just so different. That was amazing. Hmm. I think when Mizore does find the right tone, though, it'll be different to how Kumiko would do it, but it'll be equally as touching, if not more, you know? Yeah, she's not in it as much as Mizore. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't believe she's not taking individual lessons now. Like, you'd expect someone who's actually applying to musical to have already taken individual lessons for years. Yeah, you call, you tell her. She's right though. I get they're presenting two sides. Natsuki is not entirely wrong, but I'm definitely siding more with Yuko on this. And then Yama just doubling up as a music teacher and a therapist. Hmm. It's interesting flipping of the characters. Maybe not quite unhappy. Oh, they're revolving. That's so interesting though, because then it implies that Nozomi is just as invested and interlocked in her relationship with Mizore as Mizore is. Kind of? Like, she doesn't have a relationship quite like the one she does with Mizore, even though she has lots of other relationships. And so there is that sense on her part as well that it's hard to let go. Hmm. Is she gonna look over? Ah, is the Oboe coming out a lot clearer now? Just ever so slightly clearer. She's also catching the ends of the Oboe's phrases a lot better. Is this when she flies away? Oh, it's came in so strong. Oh god, she's getting teary. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's beautiful. She's done. That's it. Interesting muteness that they put there. Just to accentuate the Oboe a lot more. didn't finish that phrase. Da, 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 da. Oh, the silence. Oh, the silence was perfect. Just sit after that. Just sit in how incredible the Oboe sounded. To really let that go. Just yeah, that was exquisite. I think they both knew the whole time. It's just it's easier to tell yourself certain stories, kind of like a charade, until it doesn't work anymore. Because you can't cover like a difference in talent. You just can't. Mm. But she's also good. You know, Nozomi's not terrible. Just like telling her what to feel. Not listening, like in a solo part. You gotta let her go, Nozomi. Yeah. You can't invalidate what she just said. I mean, she can still be special to you, but just not in the musical way, right? Like, she can support you in your journey to music school. Say it. Say it. Oh, wow. Nozomi? Oh, that was such a stark contrast. Mizore was saying everything about Nozomi other than her music is what she loves. I mean, she also loves her music too. But Nozomi is like, I love your music and how you play the oboe. What? They have such different perspectives of their relationship to each other. Like, it's weird. But it doesn't then mean that they're not close, because they are. She did give Mizore her start. Like, Mizore not kidding when she's like, I wouldn't even be playing the oboe, but for the fact that you talked to me and dragged me into the end. I think Nozomi shouldn't even remember that because she had so many other things going on. But I guess that's something she can be proud of. Like, she did play a part in getting Mizore to where she is today. She may not be able to go with her the full distance, to music school because they're not on the same level, but she has that beginning, that one thing that she did for her. I'm surprised she hasn't threatened them with fines or anything. Hey, that twirl. You walking with more of your sway now, or is that just me? Oh, she's finally playing by herself without Nozomi. I guess this is them going their separate paths. As if we could miss that bird flying away. Oh. Wait, it's like the blue splotch becoming more and more integrated with the red? It's... They're walking next to each other, finally. Like not Mizore behind Nozomi. They're literally walking next to each other and having an actual conversation. Okay, except for when they go down the stairs. Just like, let me catch up to you. I just need a bit of time. A Mizore decision. Oh, the face. Oh, okay, now we're joint, I guess. Oh, man, oh, let's listen to this song first before we have a chat. Because this is like Liz singing. Liz slash Nozomi. What mode is this? It also sounds like a really young person singing this. It's very innocent kind of voice. Oh man, the whole movie was just so beautifully soundtracked and fit together so nicely with all the background noises and sounds that they had in there as well. From the very first frame, it was like you're immediately just sucked into the storytelling mode. Um, and you're just really put into a mindset of noticing every single subtle movement and subtle facial expression twitch or like body part movement. Ooh, it's more upbeat. And I just loved how they set that up and then sustained that very introspective, detailed sort of storytelling throughout the entire movie. I want to thank you guys for making damn well sure that I watched this movie because I thought Liz and the Bluebird was exquisite in every aspect possible. Every visual cue, the palette choices, the sound effects, and the music. My God, the music, it really transported me into another world. I felt like the movie took the parts of Hibike that made us feel things through music or told the story beautifully through music, or all the parts that showed us what's going on in our characters' minds and their internal worlds through music, and then cranked all of that up by 100. The result was this like remarkable weaving together of musical development with the relationship dynamic of Nozomi and Mizore. So just as Nozomi and Mizore learned to balance out their instruments in the performance, they also learned to balance out their relationship. You know, they allowed each other space to develop individually while maintaining their connection to each other. First off, I loved how they subverted the initial metaphorical framing. Like they opened with the story of Liz and the Bluebird. And even before I saw Mizore on screen, I immediately assumed that the Bluebird was Mizore because I thought, you know, it's mysterious, it's not easily understood or grasped. But then we were led to believe that Mizore actually identifies with Liz, the lonely protagonist of the story who doesn't want to let the bluebird, i.e., Nozomi, go. You know, traditionally birds symbolize happiness and freedom, and on the surface, that seemed to be more in line with what Nozomi enjoys. But then towards the end, there was yet another flip, and it turns out Mizore is actually the bluebird. She is metaphorically trapped by her excessive attachment to Nozomi, and she was unable to see herself as her own person outside of the relationship that she had with her. And Nozomi is actually Liz, who is the one who has to set Mizore free. I thought it was quite genius how through Mizore's character, the movie showed that the pursuit of connection can paradoxically become a form of self-imprisonment. There was a fascinating parallel between Mizore and Kumiko, both of whom had to undo these deep psychological patterns of internalized pain and sort of these self-protective mechanisms that they'd set up. Both Mizore and Kumiko engaged in like some form of self-sabotage that was rooted in this deep emotional trauma and just uncertainty over how people would react to them. For Mizore, her holding back in her solo part, not playing as well as she could have, was the result of her fear of losing Nozomi. And it's just so conflicting. Like she wanted to be seen by Nozomi, but she was also afraid of being too seen, like too visible, of outshining Nozomi too much. Kumiko's situation was kind of similar, but with some differences. Like when Kumiko was yelled at for stealing her senpai's competition spot, she internalized that accusation as her being unworthy of what she had legitimately achieved. And her holding herself back was more about, I guess, shame and a desire to make herself smaller so as to avoid further conflict or criticism from other people. So it's interesting that in both cases, emotional pain manifested as musical restraint. Music became this proxy for expressing these psychological states that really couldn't be articulated directly through words. By holding back musically, both characters were saying something profound about their inner worlds. Mizore about her fear of losing connection to someone important to her, and Kumiko about her fear of being seen as undeserving. I loved that we finally were able to drill down into the nuanced details of the relationship dynamics between Mizore and Nozomi. And it did, I feel, go a long way in addressing my concerns, I guess, about how lopsided the relationship seemed to be from what I'd seen in Hibike. Okay, first I think we should talk about how Mizore's absolute emotional investment in Nozomi contrasted so much to Nozomi's more, I guess, balanced approach. And it wasn't so much that Nozomi cared less, but she just has a more typical adolescent engagement with life. Like, she has multiple interests, she has multiple friends, and she has a sense of individual identity that isn't completely subsumed by one connection to one person. So that difference created this interesting tension that is both very painful and very realistic. The asymmetry in their emotional experiences of each other was revealed, for example, by how Mizore in this movie was still dealing with the hurt from Nozomi quitting band without telling her. For Mizore, that felt like deep betrayal, but for Nozomi, it kind of was just like another life transition. It was something maybe to be acknowledged, sure, but not something to be dramatically mourned for a long period of time. However, at the same time, there were these subtle layers of mutual dependency that were revealed as the movie went on. Like, it wasn't all one-sided. Sure, Mizore's attachment is like way more obvious. She literally structured her entire existence around Nozomi and analyzed every interaction with her with this very intense focus. And we saw that hyper-focus in how Mizore became totally absorbed with the story of Liz and the Bluebird, just trying to seek deeper meaning in every single detail and connection to her own story with Nozomi. But it was also eventually revealed that Nozomi has her own form of dependency on Mizore. Like, initially, for example, Mizore's applying for music school appeared to be driven by her desire to follow Nozomi to the ends of the earth, basically, which was true. But then we discovered that Nozomi's choice to apply to music school was also equally reactive. It was this preemptive move to avoid being separated from Mizore, who she recognized as being the more talented musician. In her own words, she was scared of being left in the dust. And that mutual dependency, as opposed to this very lopsided relationship that I thought was the case, created a very complex web of expectations and fears that both girls had to ultimately face and untangle. Oh, letting go. Letting go is one of the hardest things we have to learn to do in life. If we dig into Nozomi's decision at the end to let go of pursuing music school, it showed just how much she'd matured emotionally. Like, first, it required her to acknowledge her own musical limitations in comparison to Mizore, which does require a certain degree of humility. Like, it takes strength to recognize and accept your own limitations, especially in an area as personal and passionate as music. Second, I think it showed that she was finally able to find meaning, not in her personal achievements, but in her role as a catalyst for Mizore's musical journey. Instead of moping over what she can't do, Nozomi recognized that her value doesn't have to be measured by her own musical talent, but by her ability to open doors and to inspire and to nurture someone else's passion. So ultimately, true love sometimes means creating space for someone else's independent growth, even when that space might lead to separation. Nozomi learned to open that cage door. Like, she had to trust that letting Mizore fly free was ultimately more loving than keeping her close. Genuine connection isn't always about like constant proximity, constantly being in each other's faces, but about supporting each other's individual and independent growth. I remember finding that scene where Mizore confessed her like all-encompassing love for Nozomi, only to have Nozomi respond with like, I love your oboe, to be so funny and also like a little bit confusing. But thinking back, I think it did capture their different approaches to expressing emotion like really well. When Mizore pours out her feelings and listed everything she loves about Nozomi, like effectively describing Nozomi's entire being, she was expressing love in its most comprehensive form, and it really mirrors how Mizore experiences life itself. She experiences it with intense focus, with this deep analytical mind, and just complete emotional investment. And that type of all-encompassing love, it can be beautiful, but it can also potentially be suffocating for both the one giving it and the one receiving it. By contrast, Nozomi's seeming simple response, like, oh, I love your oboe, initially, at least that's what I felt, it might seem inadequate compared to Mizore's very just broad, expansive, deep declaration. And I remember thinking, oh man, there's that lopsided nature of their relationship again. But I also think that her response could be seen in a positive light. Like, it's a more grounded, specific way of expressing love by focusing on something tangible and real rather than idealizing the whole of someone's being. By specifically mentioning that she loves Mizore's oboe playing, it was like Nozomi was acknowledging and celebrating Mizore's individual identity and talent, something that was separate from their relationship. Like, she was saying, I love this part of you that exists independently of me. And so, seen in the light of the film's overall themes about the importance of developing your own individual identity and the courage to exist independently, Nozomi's response, I think, then becomes particularly meaningful. It was an expression of love that encourages growth rather than dependency. I thought it was very sophisticated the way that the film used musical performance to portray emotional growth in our characters. For example, when Taki critiqued Mizore and Nozomi's solo performances that first time, he addressed objective musical elements, you know, the balance between the oboe and the flute, their attention to phrasing, and their awareness of like the rest of the ensemble. Those technical musical aspects became metaphors for the broader themes and conflicts in their relationship. Like, they had to learn to listen, just like their instruments did. They had to learn to create space for each other and to respond to each other in more healthy ways. And then after they'd done all of that emotional growing, we saw the second performance of their solo parts, and it was very moving, obviously, to see Mizore really take her oboe part and just run with it, representing how she'd finally found her confidence and her freedom. But I also found Nozomi like crying throughout the performance to be like particularly emotional. Her tears, I think, represented a very complex mix of emotions, like pride for Mizore, and maybe a bit of relief at seeing that they'd made the right choices, and also a touch of sadness over how things won't be the same anymore. She was crying because she'd realized that her decision to step back and create space for Mizore had actually worked, and she was experiencing the beautiful yet painful process of allowing someone you care about to truly come into their own and become themselves. I loved how the musical performance was the metaphorical language through which the story communicated that complex emotional transition for both our characters. And there's just something so special about using music to do that instead of words. As someone who studied music from a very young age, it was kind of incredible for me to see, or rather to hear, how the film showed the distinction between personal, subjective, artistic interpretation on the one hand, and objective, technical execution in musical performance on the other. For example, Kumiko and Reina's more optimistic, forward-looking version versus Mizore and Nozomi's more melancholic take, they each represented valid artistic choices that emphasized different aspects of the musical composition. Neither was inherently better than the other, and it shows how personal expression can flourish within any given piece of music. Like, often there isn't one specifically right interpretation or take on music, but the technical aspects of the performance of the piece operate on a different plane entirely. Like the improvement from Mizore and Nozomi's first performance to the final performance, it wasn't about changing emotional interpretations, but about achieving better technical mastery over the piece, you know, creating appropriate space and achieving better synchronization between their instruments. So I think the film's approach to musical critique was dead on because it demonstrated that the objective, measurable aspects of technique and emotional expression are very deeply interconnected. So when Taki initially said, no, that's not good enough, it wasn't him dismissing Mizore and Nozomi's efforts, but a recognition that music is a language with its own grammatical and emotional syntax. You know, you might tell a story with different emotional emphases, but there are still fundamental rules of grammar and structure that need to be observed for effective communication. And I loved how the movie broke down musical performance beyond a very simplistic good or bad binary. So through characters like Taki and Reina, we see that musical critique is actually a form of deep listening, understanding not just the notes that are being played, but the emotional intention behind those notes, the technical precision and the subtle dynamics that transform technical skills into genuine emotional expression. You know why I was really chuffed? It's that Liz and the Bluebird validates something that musicians intrinsically understand, that there are objective elements or components to musical performance. There are things like pitch and rhythm and articulation and ensemble balance. These aren't merely subjective preferences, but they are foundational elements that create meaningful musical expression. So when someone with trained ears listens to music, they're actually hearing all of those layers of complexity. But every now and then, not often, just sometimes, you will hear pushback against the very idea of musical critique. It'll be a statement that essentially says all music is subjective and therefore you can't make judgments about whether one piece of musical performance is better than the other. And it often comes, I think, from a very well-intentioned place of wanting to be like inclusive and to avoid harsh judgment. But true musical respect isn't about declaring everything equally valid, you know, but about recognizing that in reality, immense skill and practice and emotional intelligence is required to create genuinely moving music. By saying that all musical judgment is purely subjective, you devalue those very things. So bringing it back to Liz and the Bluebird, I think they nailed that tension between objective critique and subjective interpretation to a T. Like Taki and Reina's musical critiques, they weren't tearing down Mizore and Nozomi, but offering them a path to deeper musical and personal understanding. Their feedback, it kind of was a gift. Like it was a way of them saying, I hear what you're trying to express, and here's how you might express it more fully. Finally, I just wanted to appreciate how the film demonstrated the importance of looking beyond surface level judgments to then discover the rich inner worlds that exist within people. So like that Oboe girl, Kenzaki, her initial struggle to connect with Mizore was like a prime example of how our first impressions often reflect our own limitations of understanding others' complexity. Mizore's apparent aloofness really masked an inner, vibrant world that was full of passion and full of deep feeling. And we saw more and more of that as she gradually opened up throughout the story. That theme of looking beyond the surface, I think, connects back to the film's treatment of musical performance, where if you only engage in surface level listening, you might miss the subtle interplay of instruments and the emotions and the techniques that go into creating truly moving music. So just as like trained musicians develop the ability to hear subtle nuances that might be unnoticeable to an untrained ear, the film suggests that understanding others requires like a similar patience and an attention to detail and a willingness to really study like the thing or the person that you're observing. And that's pretty much all of my brain dump for this movie. I loved watching it. I would love to know what you guys took away from Liz and the Bluebird, because, you know, you could sit and watch this movie and then come away with a million different interpretations or significances for what it means to you. Thanks for watching with me. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a good rest of the week. I love that we were able to see this work of art together.